Hello, 5th grade, and welcome to ELA Time with Miss Jensen. Today we're going to be working with main idea and theme. We've talked about these two concepts before, but today I want to talk to you about how they're the same and how they're different. How do we find both of them in the same story? Let's begin. You should have a chart that looks just like this on your notes sheet. I want you to fill in what you remember about main idea and theme. You might want to talk to a partner and see if they remember anything different than you do. Record your answers on your notes sheet before I show you my answers. All right, let's see what I have. I remember that the main idea is the subject plus the most important detail. I remember that theme is the lesson the author wants me to learn. The theme tells us what we should or shouldn't do to be happy and successful. What do these two things have in common? So both need to have evidence from the text. Both need to be complete sentences, and both tell us what the story is about. The main idea tells me what I'm going to be reading about, who is in my story, and what happens. My theme tells me what lesson I'm going to be learning while I read my story. All right. Take a minute to copy this down if you don't already have it. All right, we're going to watch a story that should be familiar to everyone. If it's not, we have a short video clip that goes through the main points of the story. While you're watching the video, I want you to be on the lookout for details that will help you determine the main idea. I want you to be on the lookout for challenges the characters face and how they overcome those challenges. That's going to help you find the theme after we're done watching. Just a reminder, the two things we're going to be looking for. We're going to be looking for details to help us find the main idea, and we're going to be looking for challenges and how they overcome the challenges to find our theme. Are you ready? Let's watch.
George, and welcome to Jam Punch. The movie that we'll be summarising today is Finding Nemo. As always, the synopsis is sourced from wikipedia.org. Two Ocularis clownfish, Marlin and his wife Coral, admire their new home in the Great Barrier Reef and clutch their eggs when a barracuda attacks, knocking Marlin unconscious. He wakes up to find that Coral and all but one of the eggs have been eaten by the barracuda. Marlin names this last egg Nemo, a name that Coral liked. Nemo develops a smaller right fin as a result of damage to his egg during the attack, which limits his swimming ability. Worried about Nemo's safety, Marlin embarrasses Nemo during a school field trip. Nemo sneaks away from the reef and is captured by scuba divers. As the boat departs, a diver accidentally knocks his diving mask overboard. While attempting to save Nemo, Marlin meets Dory, a good-hearted and optimistic regal blue tang with short-term memory loss. Marlin and Dory meet three sharks, Bruce, Anchor, and Chum, who claim to be vegetarians. Marlin discovers the diver's mask and notices an address written on it. When he argues with Dory and accidentally gives her a nosebleed, the blood scent causes Bruce to enter an uncontrollable feeding frenzy. The pair escape from Bruce, but the mask falls into a trench in the deep sea. During a hazardous struggle with an anglerfish in the trench, Dory sees the diving mask and reaches the address located at 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, NSW. The pair swims on, receiving directions to Sydney from a school of moonfish. Marlin and Dory encounter a bloom of jellyfish that nearly kills them. Marlin loses consciousness and wakes up on a sea turtle named Crush, who takes Marlin and Dory on the East Australian current. Marlin tells the details of his long journey with a group of sea turtles, and his story is spread across the ocean. He also sees how Crush gets along well with his son Squirt. Meanwhile, Nemo is placed in a fish tank in the office of a naive dentist named Philip Sherman in Sydney Harbour. He meets aquarium fish called the Tank Gang, led by a Moorish idol named Gil, who has a broken fin. The fish learn that Nemo is to be given to Sherman's niece, Darla, who has killed a fish by constantly shaking its bag. Gil then reveals his plan to escape, jamming the tank's filter, forcing the dentist to remove the fish to clean it. The fish would be placed in plastic bags and then would roll out the window and into the harbour. After an attempt at the escape goes wrong, an Australian pelican, Nigel, brings news of Marlin's adventure. Inspired by his father's determination, Nemo successfully jams the filter, but the dentist installs a new high-tech filter before they can escape. After leaving the East Australian current, Marlin and Dory are engulfed by a blue whale. Inside the whale's mouth, Dory communicates with the whale, which carries them to Port Jackson and expels them through his blowhole. They meet Nigel, who recognises Marlin from the stories he has heard, and he takes them to Sherman's office. Darla has just arrived and the dentist is handing Nemo to her, so Nemo plays dead to save himself as Nigel arrives, causing Darla to scream very loudly. Marlin sees Nemo and believes he is dead before Nigel is violently thrown out. In despair, Marlin leaves Dory and begins to swim home. Gil then helps Nemo escape into a drain that leads to the ocean. Dory loses her memory and becomes confused, and meets Nemo, who reaches the ocean. Eventually, Dory's memory returns after she reads the word Sydney on a drain pipe. She directs Nemo to Marlin and they reunite, but then Dory is caught in a fishing net with a school of grouper. Nemo enters the net and orders the group to swim downward to break the net, enabling them to escape. After returning home, Nemo leaves for school, with Crush's son Squirt, and Marlin, no longer overprotective, proudly watches Nemo swim away with Dory at his side. Meanwhile, at the dentist's office, the high-tech filter breaks down and the tank gang escapes into the harbour, belatedly realising they are still confined to their plastic bags.
Alright, now that we've finished watching our story, I would like you to finish filling out your notes sheet. In the during the video section, what happens during the story? What challenges do the characters face? How do the characters overcome these challenges? Alright, before we proceed, I would like to remind you that the main idea is the subject plus the most important detail. Theme is the lesson the author wants you to learn from the story. Alright, let's see if we can identify the main idea and the theme. Alright, let's do the main idea first. So, the main idea is the subject plus the most important detail. Take a moment on your worksheet. Who is the subject? Who is the story mostly about? Go ahead, take a second and write that. All right, now let's see if we can find the most important detail. All right, we've got a bunch of details from the story. I took these straight from the video. The barracuda kills all eggs but Nemo. Nemo is captured and Marlin begins a journey to find him. Marlin meets Dory. Dory discovers address. Nemo wakes up in a fish tank. Darla wants Nemo. Nemo learns about Dad. A whale takes them to Port Jackson. Nigel takes Marlin to Nemo. Marlin thinks Nemo is dead. Nemo escapes. Nemo and Marlin reunite. Now, when I'm trying to look at my details and find the most important one, I look for the detail that tells me what the story is mostly going to be about. If I had to eliminate all of these except for one, which one would keep the essence of the story? All right, take a minute, see if you can figure it out. Write on your note sheet, you have a section that says, what is the most important detail? See if you can figure out which one it is. All right, let me show you which one I think it was. I think Nemo is captured and Marlin begins a journey to find him is the most important detail. I think this because the entire story is about the journey that Marlin takes. If Nemo hadn't been captured, we wouldn't have a story at all. All right. So, I know the subject is Nemo and Marlin. They are what the story is all about. I found the most important detail, so I put them together and I get my main idea. Take a minute and put this on your guided notes sheet. All right, let's move on to theme. Reminder that theme is the lesson that the author wants us to learn from their story. All right, in order to find the theme, we need to analyze how the characters changed and responded to conflicts. So the first question I have, what does Marlin feel about Nemo at the beginning of the movie? How does this change by the end of the movie? Take a look at your guided notes sheet and see if you can answer this. My next question is, how does Nemo feel about his dad at the beginning of the movie? How does this change by the end of the movie? Take a minute, see if you can fill this out on your notes sheet. How does Marlin respond to the challenges he faces? And I listed 3 here. I know there's more. How does he face the sharks? How does he face the turtles? How does he face the whale and come out okay? Take a minute, fill this out on your note sheet. All right, I want you to take all of this evidence that you've collected. I want to see if you can come up with the theme for Finding Nemo. Look on your note sheet where it says theme, talk with a partner, see if you can figure out the theme of Finding Nemo before I show you what I think the theme was. Just a reminder that your response needs to be a complete sentence. Your theme should not contain any character names, and your theme should be true for everyone. All right, give it a shot. All right, let me show you what I think the theme was. I think the theme is that you need to trust others. My theme is a complete sentence. My lesson applies to everyone. I didn't use any character names. And I can use evidence to support my theme. My evidence is that Nemo ran away because his dad did not trust him. Marlin learns to trust Dory as they journey together, especially when they are in the belly of the whale and Dory claims she can speak whale. Marlin's trust in Dory crushed the turtle, and Nigel the pelican lead Marlin to his son. Marlin trusts Nemo to get into the net and save Dory. All right, 5th grade. Is it okay to have more than one theme? If you have a theme that is different than my theme, I want you to share it with your class now. It is perfectly okay to have more than one theme. All right, 5th grade, thank you so much for watching my video and completing your notes. I hope you have a better idea now of what main idea and theme are and how we find them in a text. All right, thank you for watching.